Life on the South Coast getting back to normal. Some issues driving the bad behavior of PSV operators being addressed. And coming up in sports, Darian King is one win away from the main draw of the Australian Open.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. As the new year begins to settle, residents on the South Coast have their fingers crossed that the current relief from the scent and sight of sewage continues. I caught up with community spokesman Adrian Donovan for an update. It doesn't seem that long ago that effluent was bubbling up from that sewer here right outside of the Worthing Post Office and into the road and causing a foul stench for businesses and residents alike. Today, the story is much different. Community spokesperson Adrian Donovan readily responded to a call to give an update about the current situation on the South Coast and the feedback of the residents. He was armed with almost every media report dating back years to the start of the sewage problems. He pointed out many areas that had been heavily affected but have now been dry and stench-free for months. Gentlebreeze Apartments had been forced to close operations, but when we visited today, things were up and running and the occupants were back. Donovan says residents and businesses were once again able to enjoy Christmas.
The situation has been brought under control. I can say at least 90% of the problems have gone. There's no sewage at all anywhere on the street. That problem has been rectified. There's still a minor problem up by the South Gate where there's a small lingering smell. But all the major contributors that cause this national crisis have been solved right now. And many of the residents who had businesses closed have reopened, back to work.
Mr. Donovan says the business owners are pleased to be back in operation.
The Chicken Barn restaurant, which was closed, they're now refurbished, back to business. And you can smell KFC down by Lanterns Mall, again, nice and really, really pleasant on the nose.
So apart from everything that's good, you know there's always a flip side. If there's anything that you would like to see done still?
I would like the government to continue to keep the residents and the business houses in this area informed of what's going on. That was a major complaint we had the last administration. So far, under this present dispensation, the communication has been coming freely. We've had a number of meetings already with the respective ministers and the government agencies. The St. Lawrence Primary School for sure is now back functioning. That was temporarily closed.
One resident is happy with the situation now, but she says her family suffered dearly during the crisis.
It's been good. She has pumped from Graham Hall Swamp, and that's the relief that I got.
What was it? How did it affect you? You were telling me something about your animals.
Oh, yeah, my animals, I had to put down a couple of dogs that I had because of the sewage. I don't know. They got all had ended up with cancer.
And your family's business?
My family's business was closed. My son's business was closed and he diverted back to Canada.
The residents say they are praying the streets can remain sewage free. The Transport Authority will be moving to address the oversaturation of public service vehicles on some bus routes in the next few months. Chairman Ian Estwick believes this is responsible for some of the bad behavior by operators. This was one of the topics discussed when the Transport Authority met the newly formed PSV Workers Association.
We have been able to inform the association that we have been looking at that from our routes and rationalization subcommittee, and you will soon see some movement of the more congested routes into the routes that are not as well serviced as they should be. So that should be starting anytime around April.
Mr. Estwick also says permit owners will be given an opportunity to volunteer to switch their operations to less congested routes. Failing that, the authority will decide which vans are moved. The authority will also be considering several other suggestions put forward by the PSV operators.
We've heard about the inconsistent placements of bus stops. There's certain routes that the association representatives have told us that can be extended, certain routes that can be altered. And, you know, this is being suggested in the interest of the commuter, and these things that we will take on board. I've actually asked our director to liaise with the association to set up a separate meeting to look at those suggestions so that we can see what we can carry forward from there.
Well, PSV operators across the island have been giving positive feedback about the outcome of yesterday's meeting between the Transport Authority and their new representative body. Service in some areas, especially the north, was at optimal levels as the workers who remained off the job yesterday were back today. Now, during yesterday's meeting, issues such as uniform and the controversial three-strike rule were discussed. It is understood the Operators Association intends to meet with members again on Sunday at the National Union of Public Workers headquarters. Beach culture is a niche which Barbados can embrace to earn even more foreign exchange. Now, that's the view of entrepreneur and renowned surfer Brian Talma. He says there are several avenues in the sector that have not been explored. Rianne Phillips has more.
Brian Talma is a man on a mission to boost Barbados' tourism product. While operating the Action Beach Shop at Silver Sands, he's been marketing and promoting local authentic experiences to visitors. And this year, he will be taking those efforts to another level.
Every Saturday we'll have something up in the Silver Sands, if it's beach culture cricket, beach culture carnival, anything revolving around the sea to really entertain and show the visitors a unique, what we have in Barbados, a unique beach culture. And what we do is if you look on this side here, we have created a Christmas tree. I have to put one part fell off, but we made a Christmas tree out of surfboards, and I put my symbolism art on it to symbolize all the different aspects of this thing called beach culture.
In the process, Mr. Talma has been giving back to the Silver Sands community by training some of the young people and transforming their lives. One of them is 21-year-old Joshua Clark.
I learned kite surfing, paddleboarding, surfing, a whole set of things, you know. A lot of things I learned here. I learned to talk to the guests properly, learn, you know, cooperate with people, meet a lot of people from all over the world.
Being under Mr. Talma's wings for the past 6 years, Joshua has been inspired to dive even further into the water sports industry. I'm
going to Trinidad to get certified at the end of the season, and I'll be back here to be a perfect instructor. I'm looking to go overseas and teach and become a better instructor and better at everything I do, paddleboarding and surfing, anything. I just want to get better at everything. I want to be a waterman, you know?
Mr. Talma is hoping to get more Barbadians involved in surfing going forward. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Education officials are being advised to find a way to change the public perception that some schools are bad and deal with the issue of many children not realizing their full potential. This call comes from Professor of Education, Language, Literacy and Cross-Cultural Studies at the UWI-Kefil campus, Joel Warrican. He was speaking during the annual meeting of the Eastern Caribbean Joint Board of Teachers Education.
We have a stratified school system that leads to the marginalization of students who are allocated to so-called bad schools and labeled accordingly, are beaten to their self-esteem from a very early age. The secondary education examinations, where more than half of the students writing CSEC examinations cannot obtain passing grades in 5 subjects, including English and mathematics. And we know that's the standard to get into colleges. That's the standard to get into the civil service, etc.
Well, Professor Warrican is also concerned about the number of untrained teachers in the system.
We have teachers teaching in areas for which they are not adequately qualified. They're teaching out of field. Teacher educators who lack opportunities to keep their knowledge and skills current in line with best practices for the context. Also, we see the absence of rigorous systems of support, supervision, and accountability.
Police are seeking the public's assistance in locating a missing girl. She is 14-year-old Hachina Kamisha Small of Edgecliff, St. John. Lawmen say she reportedly left the residence of Faye Andrea Bostick of number 10 Gemswick, St. Philip on December 22nd last year, about 10:30 in the morning, to go to Palmerine Hastings, Christchurch, and has not been seen since. She is 5'6" tall, clear complexion, and stoutly built. At the time, she was wearing long jeans, which are cut across the legs, a pink, purple, and blue blouse with a black slogan and red and pink slippers. Anyone with information relative to the whereabouts of Ms. Small is asked to contact the nearest police station.